Hi, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be trying out the Graphitint paint pan set. I've already tried out the Graphitint pencils and they were fantastic, so I want to see what this paint pan set is like. We'll do some swatching and then we'll do a comparison using both the pencils and the paints to see how they work. So let's open it up. There it is. So got this really nice thick piece of semi-tracing paper with the colours on. So let's see if that is going to be comparable. Let's take off this. So we've got a sponge, a paintbrush, a water-filled paintbrush, and the 12 colours, which also come out. And then presumably, each one of those comes out, but hopefully in its little container. I'm not going to do that right now, but they would easily fall out, so I'll be keeping them the right way up. So this comes with a little stopper so you can fill it up, and presumably it's going to be too long to be able to go in there. Exactly, so if you wanted to keep it filled with water, you'd have to keep that stopper and put that in. So I may as well use the paintbrush too. I love these water paintbrushes with the paint already in them because you don't have to keep dipping. So I'll just fill that up and then we'll get ready to swatch. Okay, I've just filled it up with water from the tap and I'm going to screw that on and we should be ready to go. I'm going to do my swatching on this watercolour Fabriano postcard block because they're great size and I like them for swatching. And then afterwards I can pick out the same colours from the pencils and see how they compare. So let's do that. Right. Let's go for it. Let's just get some water coming out of this. Oh, loads. All right, let's do it. This is the Autumn Brown, just squeezing a bit on. Wow. Gorgeous colour. Really nice and thick as well. It's immediately covered in this nice deep red colour. So I've got to get that off before I go into the next one. Now we've got the russet. Lovely brown. I just keep looking across to my other swatch card that I have from the pencils to compare, but I'll do that later. I won't look at them now. I'll just do the swatching. So that is russet. Next up is meadow. This is a lovely green one, but it sometimes can be yellow depending on, or look yellow. Okay, it's coming out super green there. I think if you have less of it, then it can come out looking nice and yellow. But definitely, yeah, it's kind of like a mucky yellow as opposed to a green. Next we have green grey. Wow, that's looking very... almost kind of got a weird red tint to it, at least from the way I'm looking. Can't see a lot of green in, but maybe when my lighting's better. The lighting is not that great right now. Slate green. Nice. And then ocean blue. This was my favourite in the other one, in the pencil set. And it's not disappointing here either. Gorgeous. Moving on to steel blue. Wow, they're very... I don't know whether it's this water brush that's enabling me to get the right amount of water, which is not making them pool, because normally when I do watercolour I end up with a hot mess of blooming and too much water, and I'm not finding that with this water brush, so it's fast becoming my favourite. So dark indigo, let's go. Wow, that's super nice. That is absolutely gorgeous. Looks very similar to that in a way. Like obviously it looks different, but has a nice kind of depth to it, which is similar. Aubergine. Just move these down a bit so you can see also the, okay. Aubergine. Nice. Having just looked at the pencils, I'm really loving these because they're not leaving that graphite mark, obviously, which is something I really love about the pencils, but the joy of these is that they're not leaving it, so you could kind of mix them up and have the mark or not have the mark according to what you want to do. This is Juniper, a really nice reddy purple. That is absolutely gorgeous. They're looking really nice together. They're not quite looking the same as like these two, this slate green and that slate green look really quite different. This one looks much bluer, but we'll see. Next up is Port. This should be a lovely red colour. Ooh. Yeah. And Graphite Grey. Wow, loving those. Really nice consistency. So that's those. I'm going to bring in the pencils and swatch them out with this brush again, because before when I did the pencils I used a normal brush and I got that blooming, or you know, that kind of line effect and a bit of blooming there and so on. So let's see how that goes. Just got to select the same pencils, so let's bring those in. So Autumn Brown, here we go. Russet. Meadow. Grey green. Green grey, sorry. Green grey. That just doesn't look green at all in the paints. I wonder if they put the wrong one in. No, they can't have done. But or maybe it's just the top layer, or maybe underneath there's more green. It's definitely grey. Slate green, that one there. I love this one, pencils. Love it. It's totally one of my favourites. And then the ocean blue as well. Absolutely gorgeous colour. And then the steel blue. That's that one. I love this one too. I pretty much love this whole set. In the paints there's only 12, but I've got the 24 set in the pencils. And I'm glad I have, because it's just got those few extra wonderful colours. You can never have enough colour if you ask me. So Aubergine. Juniper. Port. That looks more red, less mucky than the paints above. And then Graphite Grey. Graphite Grey, I'm not finding that. Let me just, I'm not. In the greys, I have a warm grey, midnight black, a mountain grey, a cloud grey, a cool grey, and a white. So I don't have the graphite grey in the pencils. So in that case, I'll just put in a warm grey. Just to put a grey, but this is not in the pencils. Not in the pencils. Okay, so let's do it. Autumn Brown. Look at that. Yeah, that's a good match. I love having the two of them because you can get the graphite marks in it if you want it. But equally having the paints, you don't have to. So let's go in with the russet. That's not bad. I feel like there's more green happening in the paint version. Meadow. This definitely feels more green. That feels more yellowy, more towards the yellow that I always want in a palette. So I'm happy with that. I'm happy to have that addition. Then the green grey. Okay, this feels way more like a green grey. I'm going to have to swatch that green grey again because maybe it was just the top part and I just got all the grey, not the green. I'm sure there's green under there. Moving on to the slate green. That feels much more green. I feel like there's more of a grey muted overtone in the paints. And the ocean blue, that's much brighter. Wow, look at that. But it'll be great to have the two of them. But there really is a big difference. I don't think you could substitute one for the other and be like, oh, I'm just going to get the paints because I don't need the pencils. They're exactly the same colour because they're kind of not, at least in the version that I have. So steel blue, here we go. That's similar, but again, I feel like it's got more blue in it. And then dark indigo. Feels a bit bluer, not so much grey. I feel like that one's got a bit more grey in it. These feel, yeah, much brighter, the colours in the pencils. Purple, it's the aubergine. Again, it feels much more purple. And then I've got the juniper. The port. That feels much brighter. Much brighter. Yeah, they really do. Apart from that one, apart from the autumn brown, they feel much brighter in the pencils. And then this is the warm grey that I used instead of the graphite grey. And so can't really compare that one, but just to put a grey there. So that's interesting. And then obviously you've got the texture of the cold press paper coming through on the pencils. So let's go now to my sketchbook, which has also got a cold press paper on it. And we can paint out a flower, which I've just drawn in there already. And we can see how I can leave the pencil marks that I want using the pencils or not have them. So we just have a nice comparison. So here we are in my sketchbook. I've just drawn out these flowers, very simple flowers, the same kind of flowers I used in the pencil demonstration. So just very similar to that, just very easy, just so we can get the nice comparison. And on the left, I'm going to use the pencils, and on the right, the paint pan set, just using random colours as I go. I haven't got the exact same petals in the exact same position, so I'm just going to fill them in. But let me just select the pencils that I need, because I'm only going to use the same ones that I've got in the paint pan set. So I'm going to do the pencil one first. I'm going to use the black this time instead of the grey, because looking at this, I feel like that's way lighter than that one. So I want to get something that's a bit darker, and the dark, this black it's black, but it's not super dark. You can see on this one here that it's a fairly nice muted black, let's say. And then if I compare it to that one, I think that's closer than the grey that I used. So I'm going to go for the black. I'm just going to randomly colour some of these petals in, but I'm going to colour in the whole petal so that I get the full coverage, and then that will be much more like what I'll get when I do the paints. Alright, so that is the flower with the paint pan set. Now I'm just going to put the water over the flower that I drew with the pencils, and then we'll have our comparison. So there they are, the two different flowers. Obviously the one with the pencils has got much more texture in it. That's quite good because you can move the pencil in the direction that you want to have the texture. So you can work with that to your advantage. Or if you want something that's a bit flatter or a bit smoother, you can go for the paint pans, or you can just work the pencil so that you get rid of that texture. Let's just take the port pencil and do a little comparison. Actually, I'll do the stem. I'll do the stem and then I'll swash it out till it becomes grainless, hopefully. Oops, too much water. Yeah, so you can just, oh my gosh, look at that gorgeous piece of tissue with all those paint marks on it. Let's just take up that extra water. Okay, but you can lay down the pencil and then you can even work to get rid of that grain if you really wanted to. So it doesn't have to be there, but inevitably some of it's going to be left behind. Here is the port from the paint pan, and make that same stem. Is that the port? Really? Yeah, it's way darker. It looks like I chose the wrong one. That's a completely different colour. That's insane. It looks much more like the... Yeah, be gone. Go. Ha! Be gone. Yeah, he's sticking around. Boop. Okay. That's crazy. That red is just completely different. So I'm kind of tempted to get the... I'm almost like, is that really the same thing? It just feels a lot different, but I want to put some down there. Wet into the wet. And you can even lay down texture into the wet. I'm just putting the actual tip itself, not the wood, because I wouldn't want to get the wood wet. But it becomes quite thick, and you can make some nice marks that way. But yeah, those are really quite different in terms of colour, so that's good to know. So there is my comparison. What do you think? Comment below which one you like best. So here we are at the end of the very long swatching session. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you stuck around to the end, thank you so much. Comment, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.